Welcome to episode 5. Full transparency, we just filmed this whole thing and then we realized the first 10 minutes wasn't recording. So
Mic
now
issue.
we're going back and we're recreating the first 10 minutes for you. So if you hear a couple things that were repeated, it's because we had to botch this. Okay. So welcome to episode 5.
We adapt. Our brains are becoming more adaptable with this neurofeedback.
This will all make sense
process.
once you listen to this in the next hour. So welcome to episode 5. If you are following along in this postpartum series, you just heard us share about my experience at the bridge. Or sorry, no, this is episode 6. This is episode 6. That's what's up. Okay, so you just listened to ketamine therapy.
Yeah.
When you're doing it out of order, my brain is like... Okay, you just listened to my experience with ketamine therapy, and then since ketamine therapy, how I dove back into my neurofeedback experience and how brain code played a huge role in that, and how nothing happens by accident. And our mutual friend Allie introduced us to Angie, and Angie and Rachel own brain code, and that was that kind of where we left that off?
That was it. And so, Angie, welcome to Getting Magnetic. Excited to have you here. We've become friends with Angie and Rachel, who run brain code centers, but we've also been doing neurofeedback a little bit for a couple months. We had a couple months of doing it before we had Crew and Sandy's whole postpartum experience. So it was kind of put on hold for a bit there. And now we're back into it, months into it. We go in person, online. We'll talk about all this stuff. But I think, Angie, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. Welcome back almost, because we just recorded for an hour and we're re-recording the next 10 minutes. But really cool. We're sitting here in our studio in our basement. And I think, Sandy, let's go back. Let's just share a little bit about like story mode, like us getting into it, just a couple minutes. Okay. And then Angie, we'd love for you to share like
even what like our first phone call.
Yeah, right? First phone call, and then like what we'll ask you the question, but like what is brain code, what neurofeedback 101, all that stuff.
So when I met this gal, Allie, she was super like convicted that I needed to meet you. Like she was like, Sandy, I'm telling you, like you've been through a lot. Your story kind of reminds me of mine. We've been through a lot. You need to do neurofeedback. And I was like, I don't know what that is. And so she introduced you, me, and Angie in a group text. And multiple times I kind of kept like blowing it off.
Sandy's a little skeptical.
Yeah. And so anyway, I do remember our first call and I was like, I feel kind of bad. Like, I feel like I was a little bit short with you, but I was just like trying to do my friend Allie a favor of like talking to her friends, but just being like, I don't really know.
What is this?
Yeah. I really didn't know what it was. And, I remember telling you like, yeah, I've been through a lot of stuff, but I've done talk therapy and like, I think I'm good. Like, how could this really help me? And, with trauma and with different, like, I remember telling you at one point, like, okay, if this really works, this like brain rewiring, and it could help me be less reactive because like I can tend to be a very anxious person and I'm focused on breaking some generational trauma, yell at my kids less. If it could help me with that, sign me up. Like I remember kind of having that conversation in the beginning. And yours was more.
So it was cool. Yeah. When we met them, I mean, Sandy's was more trauma, getting back to stability. Okay. Being less reactive, almost like from this reaction standpoint. And then mine was more like, wait, I feel like our brain runs like probably most of our life, like our body and everything. And I go to the gym and I do all these things to optimize my life, and I take supplements and I eat clean and all this stuff. And we sleep and we cold plunge. And I'm like, but am I exercising my brain at all? I mean, I read, I meditate. I know some of that stuff can help. I take my omegas, but I'm like, am I actively working to exercise, and am I being proactive about my brain, not only my brain health, but like, can I open up more? And my big pain point, Sandy's pain point was like, can you help me be less reactive, maybe be less anxious, less this and that, sleep better, which is like incredible. And then my pain point was, wait, is there like potential on the table that I'm just like leaving out there, like an even better life, because I'm not opening these new neural pathways and working on my brain? And so like in talking to Angie and Rachel, it just became so clear, like this is a way, we're just people who we want to live our best life and we want to optimize and we want to see like what can we do and what can we achieve, and the concept of like leaving potential on the table like just eats me alive. So I'm like, you know what, let's look into this. And so it starts with brain mapping, and then we'll have Angie kind of go through the 101 on what it's all about, but you map the brain. And that was a cool thing because they didn't know us yet. Now we're friends and we know each other well. But the first call, we did our brain maps. They did not know us at all. They're just looking at our brains. I forget if you guys even did our maps. Like we have like no exposure to them, and they're just looking at the map of our brain. And it was so validating and affirming because they were like, oh, Sandy, do you feel like, and maybe I'll speak to mine, you speak to yours, but they're like, wait, do you feel like you could, they were like, one, have you had a handful of concussions? I'm like, I played football at like a pretty high level through college for like 15 plus years and got my bell rung a handful of times. So like probably nothing like major. They're like, yeah, nothing irreversible, but it's there. There's some, trauma there that we can work on rewiring. And then it was also like, do you love like caffeine, working out, cold plunges, like things that like stimulants? I'm like, three of my favorite things ever. And they're like, yeah, okay, I can see that. And they're like, you have a creative brain and different stuff, and you have high theta, and we want to work you to get into more beta, more flow state, more different things. And it was like really cool and validating, which we'll bring up later too. But I was like, whoa, they're kind of telling me about myself just by looking at my brain map. And that was like a really cool like buy-in in the beginning. So like I'm excited for this journey because also wow, my brain is really good at this. They were also like, you have a first responder brain. You could run into a burning building and be like, we'll figure this out. Like everything's fine. We're gonna get through this. And
Thank
then
God
Sandy
you
on the
have
other
that, because
Sandy on the other hand
if
has
we
an
were both
opposite
me, we
brain.
wouldn't have made it through this postpartum.
So then what was your experience like when they read your brain?
Oh my God. It was, again, very validating. I remember you saying that my frontal lobe was like all red, like it was just lit up. Like I am living in, you are being chased by a lion at all moments. Like that was just, and yeah, just
Validating.
some of the things you said, I'm like, how does she know this? Like, yeah, like that is 100% how I feel. So I like the data part of that, of like seeing that, like, and getting your brain hooked up to like, it's like 19 different spots,
Yeah,
right? Yeah, it's like
19.
19 different spots. Seeing that is, yeah, it's validating to be like, okay, he is that way, yes, and I am this way, yes, and how we can both have very different brains, and then you guys create, the different protocols to serve our specific needs. But I'd love to turn it over to you,
Yeah.
of like, okay, did you find brain code? How did it start? Like,
What is
what's the
brain code
101?
centers? What is like the protocol? Like we just talked of a little story mode and we got our brain maps. Like what is the protocol?
Yeah.
What have we gone through? What is neurofeedback? Like for those that like
Yeah.
don't know anything, like
Yeah.
how would you explain
Introduce
it?
yourself.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. So Rachel Lambert founded Brain Code Centers, and her and I met, 10 plus years ago, and then, kind of created together what we have now, which is so incredible. But she, came to neurofeedback through a personal experience. I came to neurofeedback through a personal experience. Growing up, I was pretty underachieving, pretty lackadaisical about life. And
She's the complete opposite now.
literally a totally, honestly different person. Like I was just very, very underutilizing of all the things that I had. And at that time, unlike you, Wade, I was like, not utilizing my potential, that's okay.
Mhm.
Don't need to. But when I was 19, through a kind of a random injury, I suffered a skull fracture, traumatic brain injury, spent a long time in intensive care. When I got released, I was in a walker. And so I figured out pretty young that, our brains are very capable of changing. And it was through a lot of Eastern type medicine that I really found ultimate healing, like through the Lord, through just very, alternative forms of medicine. So relearned to walk again, wheeled and dealed with God, and was very like, if you heal me, I will do all the things, I will earn that potential. And I've spent the rest of my life doing that, and truly trying to give back to the world in a way of just going, our brains are capable of healing. Our brains, like what we are born with or what people put on us, right? Like, hey, this might be as good as it's going to get. Is just not the case. My mom saw that potential. I found that potential. And so that really is, kind of Brain Code Centers was very much birthed out of struggle and out of trial, but out of wanting to bring hope and healing to people through neurological means.
Mm-hmm.
So Brain Code Centers is one of the largest neurofeedback companies in the country. We do have multiple locations here in Denver, one in Tulsa, one in Dallas, and then we have a global remote program where you can literally do neurofeedback from anywhere in the world. I have
Amazing.
It's incredible. I have people training across the world with us, which is just, even blows my mind to think about now that, I have people in Australia and in Canada and in Dubai doing neurofeedback with us. But neurofeedback, so the first thing that we start with is a brain map, which is a quantitative electroencephalogram, right? Similar to an EEG or like a SPECT image, except that we're not only looking for something structurally wrong, right? We're looking at the electrical and the neurological wave activity happening in the brain. And then neurofeedback is operant conditioning of the brain. It's reward-based training. we're literally teaching the brain to create new neural pathways to serve that person better. I think that's weird.
I think that's good.
I think that literally is the merge.
Yeah,
like,
the
right,
operative
operant conditioning.
conditioning.
10 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Boom.
Good.
That was 10 minutes. All right.